Hey there, Snapflash fam! Botswana's former president Ian Khama has revealed details of his meeting with Venancio Mondlane, the Mozambican opposition leader who fled to Botswana after an assassination attempt in his home country. What did they discuss? And why is this meeting sparking conversations about democracy, political persecution, and SADC's role in Africa? Let's get into it. Mondlane sought refuge in Botswana, and one of his first moves? A private meeting with Ian Khama. According to Khama, they discussed democracy, political stability, and the struggles of opposition leaders in Africa. But Mondlane had some harsh words for SADC, calling it a weak alliance of ruling parties. Is SADC failing to uphold democracy? Stay with us to find out. Before we continue, hit that like button and subscribe to Snapflash for more real, fast, and unfiltered updates. Let's go. Mondlane sought refuge in Botswana, and one of his first moves? A private meeting with Ian Khama. According to Khama, they discussed democracy, political stability, and the struggles of opposition leaders in Africa.
The time when I was in South Africa, and since I've come back from South Africa, because you'd understand in South Africa there are a lot of people from other countries who go through there much more than Botswana, mainly because of the meetings and conferences and activities that happen there, the connectivity with the airlines and so on like that. So I met quite a few people, especially from this continent, who really I felt very humbled about myself and the awards that I was given in recognition of that period when I was in office. And then I've been involved, like I said, in conferences like this to talk about Botswana pre the Masisi disaster period, to quote Unity Down. How did Botswana travel this journey from independence up to 2018? Our reputation we had. So I was telling them not just about my presidency, but my predecessors, and not only Rona, even Botswana, because it could not have been a successful democracy with the reputation it had, unless the people themselves were playing their role and their part. So it is inclusive. And that's why in Vision 2016, we had two of the pillars where we talked about being a united and proud nation and a compassionate and caring nation. And these were things which were driving us. And the system, our traditional system, like at the Kota, is what spoke to helping us create the foundation for our democracy. Go to Aure, and I would tell them, there is no expression I can think of in English or any other language which perfectly describes the fact that there is freedom of speech, not only freedom of speech, but even tolerance. Or you can say something that someone doesn't like, but also not sort of but you are entitled to say what you like, and you're not going to be threatened over whatever you say. That is the country we are talking about. So we have now recovered from this previous period under Masisi, and we are now back on the correct path. So when Mondlane asked to come to see me, you know Mozambique had gone through an election, and you would have heard, it's not me saying that, but you would have heard that there were doubts about the credibility of that election. And then afterwards followed a period of violent protests, which nobody wanted to see in Mozambique or in our region. So I thought, well, this is an opportunity to listen to hear what he says, And can I share my experiences when I was in office? Can I tell him about the Botswana model of democracy? And that's what I did. Because he demonstrated to me that he genuinely wants unity and stability in the country. And if he was to assume power one day after a free and fair election, to embark upon the road of positive economic performance and development, alleviate poverty and unemployment, and bring about prosperity for as many of the Mozambican people as he can. And that is our language. That should be our language, that what do we want for our people. So I believe engaging with people like that, and I never got any sense that he was someone in favor of violence. No. Some level protests peacefully over the elections, or what happened in the elections. But people see things just happened there. Obviously, many people, you could see them on the social media, they were genuinely unhappy about the situation, and they resorted to violence, for which they are trying to blame him. After he left Botswana, they detained him for 10 hours when he got back to his country. For 10 hours, questioned at the Attorney General's. In future, if you want to travel, you have to get permission from the Attorney General. And you can only be out of the country for 5 days. But you just say, but he's got a passport, he's free to travel, he's free to come and go. Why does he need anyone's permission? But that is the situation we're in. And that was one of the things which would have been discussed at the conference as well. So, if I can make a contribution to influencing with other people, like-minded people, to bring about a situation on our continent where there is more tolerance. Because Batuba Khanezu are not the enemy because you have a political party. If you choose to support another football team than the one I support, you're not my enemy. If you come from a different tribe than mine, you're not the enemy. If you come from a different country from mine, you're not the enemy. And even if you belong to a different political party, it's allowed. It's allowed. So, incumbency in power should not generate intolerance or an entitlement to stay in power.
But Mondlane had some harsh words for SADC, calling it a weak alliance of ruling parties.
We find the inspiration abroad, and our biggest inspiration now is Ian Khama. It means not only the inspiration in values, principles, but in networks. Now it's time to reinforce our networks abroad, diplomatic networks, financial networks, political networks. This is time to enlarge our network abroad with other countries, other organizations, other leaders. This is time to do that.
Speaking about leaders, SADC met in January,
yes,
and Mozambique was on the table. And
yes,
what we understand as the chairperson of the organ, the SADC organ, said that you must come to the table. Has this happened? What can you maybe just give us any progress in that area?
Yeah, sometimes that people use ironic language, cynic language, because they know why I was splitted in the dialogue table, because in that time I was in exile, and they had many criminal accusations. They attempt against my life, they killed my lawyer, and there is a warrant
Of arrest?
Against me. And I write a letter to the former president, said, you are inviting me to the table of dialogue, but I've got these issues against me, and they didn't answer my letter. And you know, the SADC is very weak, unfortunately, to overcome that kind of crisis. And they are partials in that case. They are partial because the SADC is not a regional organization. The SADC is an association of that ruling parties that are related with the liberation movements. And they defend each other. They don't defend the justice, the truth. They defend each other. Even when they know that one of them are committing crimes, committing
Human rights violations.
fraud elections, they defend them. This is the logic of the SADC, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately.
The meeting highlights Botswana's role as a beacon of democracy, with opposition leaders from other African nations seeking guidance on fostering political change without resorting to violence. With tensions still high in Mozambique following recent protests and human rights abuse allegations, the question remains, will SADC take action, or continue to be seen as a protector of ruling elites? Will Mondlane's meeting with Khama spark new political strategies in Mozambique? And what does this say about Botswana's influence on regional democracy? What do you think? Is SADC doing enough to support democracy in Africa, or is it just a political shield for those in power? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to SnapFlash for more breaking stories from across Africa. Until next time, SnapFlash fam, keep questioning and stay informed.
Ay,